Okay, what we have here is a Honda water pump. It's powered by a Honda gx120 engine. And I just picked this up from a customer today, and he's saying that the carburetor needs cleaned. I think more than just the carburetor needs cleaned. So we're going to try to get this all cleaned up nice and get it running for him. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I didn't expect to pick it up in this kind of shape, so we'll see what we can do for him. Alright, now we're back with the pump that I was talking about. As you can see, it's a lot cleaner than when we started out as. So now I can at least see what I'm doing. So we're going to start by, he said that it doesn't run for very long, so it's probably a carburetor issue. This is down right there. So we're going to start by removing the air filter, and then right there's a nut, and on the other side there's another nut, and we'll be removing those. You just take the wing nut off of the top, pull the air filter off. It's filthy like usual. And there's another nut right here. So we're going to remove this one, and this one here. The two at the bottom actually hold the carb on, and the top here holds this whole plastic piece on. So we're going to start by removing those. But before we completely remove the carburetor, we're going to take out this bolt at the bottom of it, and then turn the gas on, just to let all the gas run out. He said he hasn't ran this in a while, so I'm not even going to bother pissing with the old gas that's in it. So you're just going to remove this, put like a pop can or something under it, and we'll remove all the gas out of it. Okay, now with the clamp out of the way, you're going to have a spring right here that hooks onto your throttle arm. We're just going to remove that. Now we can start pulling the carburetor off. You're going to want to, once you have the carburetor, pull it off a little bit. That little throttle linkage right here, this arm, you can pop that off then. Yep, two hands. Hold on, I'm getting the tripod. And there's always going to be some gas left over in that fuel line. I'm using a pop can right now to catch the rest of it. Oh my god, I hate my fucking neighbor. Okay, everybody, I was starting to get pissed off because I thought I was going to have to remove this engine to get this carburetor off. Because you slide it back and then it hits the frame here. But instead of doing that, I put two nuts on the main screw going into the engine, and then you just back it out that way. So meanwhile, I'm going to take these off, both of these, and then we can access the carb so we can start cleaning the damn thing. I'm just getting frustrated. My neighbor's acting like a fucking retard. Alright, now with both of them unscrewed, then we can remove the carb. Finally. So, we'll start pulling this apart now that we got it off of the machine. Okay, now that we finally have the carb off, we can start by tearing it down. There's not a whole lot to these. You got your screw to your float bowl, and you have your screw to your gas on and off switch. So they're both, I think they're both 10 millimeter. Yeah, they're both 10 millimeter. We have a little tray here, magnetic tray, so we don't lose any of our pieces. The float bowl pulls right off. And inside here you have your float. You have a spring right in there, and you have this push pin. This push pin can be removed with needle nose pliers or with your finger. This one's pretty loose, so we're just going to remove it with our fingers. And you don't want to lose any of these pieces. Now the float can be removed. The needle's already in it. We're just going to leave it as one piece. Inside here, you're going to need a flat blade screwdriver, and your main jet is in there. Right here's where your gas comes in. Or there's another gas thing. So we can also pull off the choke lever. Now we can also remove the bottom of the gas piece. You're going to have gas in there that's going to drip out, just so you know. Might as well just dump it out on the floor. Actually looks pretty clean in there. When we throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, we're going to turn it to the on position. Since the carb has no problem getting gas, I'm not tearing this down the rest of the way right here. It seems to be working just fine. So now what we're going to do is, there's not really much else that can be removed on this that needs to be removed for cleaning. So we're going to take our crude oil or penetrating oil, whatever you want to use. We're going to spray some in each hole just to make sure it comes out somewhere else. But first we're going to remove the jet from it. Okay, so now we just removed our main jet from right here, and we look through it and it's nice and clean. This, it's hard to see through, but I don't know if you can see it, but if you take a bright light and shine it in there, you can see that that's nice and clear. But we're going to give this thing a good cleaning anyway. Right here, this screw here is an adjustment for how much gas you get here. Normally I like to be able to remove these and clean them, but this particular model cannot be removed. It just turns down and then turns back up again. So there's not a whole lot we can do there. So we're going to spray some penetrating oil in all the holes to make sure it comes out somewhere else. And then we'll throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner and clean it. I'm not going to bother showing the cleaning video because I have 2 other videos on cleaning carbs in the ultrasonic. So I'm going to be skipping that part. If you need to know how to do it or what it looks like, you can always go back to my other videos. I have them in a playlist. Alright, now that we got the carburetor all clean, installation is reverse from the way you took it off. Now, before you put this on, you are going to want to take these that you took off and put these on first. And then what you're going to do is, one side's fatter than the other. You'll notice that as soon as you go to put it in the holes. So you're going to put these in first. Then put your two nuts on here. You're going to screw them in hand tight first. And then you're going to put the nuts on there and drive them in the rest of the way. Just snugs enough. Don't go overboard on these. So we'll be back once we have the carburetor put back together. Alright, so I figured out a little trick when putting your plastic piece on. Inside these two holes, you're going to find these two metal pieces. You can't remove this off of the screws without first removing these metal pieces. Whether you pull them out of the front or push them out the back of it, there's just not enough room. Once you remove these, there's enough wiggle room in the holes to remove your plastic piece. So you're going to want to put these pieces on first. What I would like to do is put this side on first and then this side. You kind of have to jimmy it in there. So this side's already on. Now to get the other side, you have to pull it kind of tight to get it in there. Let's see here. Oh, move your choke lever. Alright, and then you can just push it on the rest of the way, and the metal sleeves will push back into the holes. Make sure you put your fuel line on first before you do all this, because you're going to have a tough time getting back in to get it. So now we can put our two screws back on. Both sides. Use your 10mm to screw them on. You're probably going to have to use a wrench for this side. And don't forget about this one right here. There's only 3 holding this whole thing on. Again, it's a 10mm, so screw that in. Snug it up. Next, you're going to want to put your air filter on. Oh, and don't forget about your throttle linkage. Put that on. Put your air filter on. Put the wing nut back on it. And that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do next is test the compression on this unit. I'm not going to videotape that because I also have another video of showing how to do compression on motors like these. Alright, now that we have it all gassed up and there's water going to it so we don't burn the pump up, let's fire it up and see if it runs. Helps if you turn it on, dum-dum. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this go for a couple minutes. He was saying it would run for a little bit and then stop, so we're just going to keep running it, and I don't know, the last 5-10 minutes, then probably it.